Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the fourth race scheduled, the third that we've actually raced. One race has been canceled due to rain or rescheduled due to rain, so there's still more of these races to come. If you're interested, please hit the subscribe button. I've got a couple more races here in Charleston, and then some other things coming up in the future that I'm going to be doing. So if you're interested in these kind of cycling videos, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button and make sure you don't miss anything. This series is obviously my first crit races that I've done, and so the season's really been all about getting better and learning how to do it. Obviously, I'm competitive too, so I'd really like to get better at what I'm doing. I think this is the first race where I really felt like I didn't get better, and I was a little bit discouraged, but I felt like at the same time, the field's getting stronger, everybody out there is getting stronger and faster, and it just kind of comes with the territory. You gotta figure out a way to get to the next level. The big thing from the last race was spending too much time out front. Basically, I think I was overconfident, and so I did a pretty good job laying out the strategy and sticking with it. I decided I was going to stay in the back, but one thing that happens when you're in the back is you start to get this yo-yo effect, and these big gaps start to form. If you look, like right here in front of this guy that's in front of me, there's these big gaps that, here I am closing it down and pushing 500-600 watts to just make sure that we're not doing these massive accelerations over and over. And so there's a sweet spot in the pack that's maybe fourth or fifth wheel that keeps you from having to deal with that kind of stuff, and then also not being on the front where you're catching all of the wind. So that's where I really wanted to stay. The problem is everybody wants to be in that position, and so I still have struggled a little bit with trying to just hold the wheel, being aggressive enough with the bike position that I'm able to hold the wheel of the person in front of me. So still kind of learning to do that. But here you see this is the sweeping turn, turn 2. Like I said, if you haven't seen the other videos, it's kind of turn 1 and turn 2 are a downhill portion. This is the back stretch, which is really flat, and then you go into turn 3 and turn 4, which are tight and uphill. And so one of the struggles I've had with turn 3 and turn 4 is really having to just produce a lot of power for the uphill portions, because I'm heavier. You can see here power goes up 600 watts there. It's not uncommon on some of these laps. You'll see at turn 4, depending on the pace, I'll have to hit 1,000 watts just to keep up. And really it's a function of just needing to lose some more weight. I think if I'm going to be competitive with these guys, I just got to shed some more pounds and make sure that I don't have to make those big efforts. I got some advice going into the race. It's like, hey, try not to stand up when you're going into turn 4, and that did help. But at the same time, I still had to produce a lot of power just to keep from to keep on the wheel. So that was difficult. Here we are, I think about lap 5. That would have been good if I could have held Josh's wheel a little longer, but I was not able to do that. And so let's see, right? Yeah, like fourth wheel here, coming back to the start finish line, about to go into lap 5. And there again, just trying to maintain some kind of reasonable power level through that turn was difficult. Also, taking the turns. One thing about this race was we were going faster on this race, much faster than we have on any of the other races, and so it was sometimes challenging to corner 28, 29 miles an hour and learn to not hit those brakes and to take the turns smoothly. But I felt like I did a pretty good job there. Here I take turn 2 wide, and like I said, I just get so much momentum coming out of that turn that I can almost drift to the front without spending any energy. Although I'm cranking 800 watts as I say that. That's just me not being smart. But I did that a few times where I find myself just having that roll down the hill and kind of not wanting to hit the brakes, so I just drift out in front. And so that's really what you see happening there. Lap 7. This is Fabian. Fabian comes back to the front, and he was riding really strong all day. He made several moves, like really I think looking for somebody to get out and work with him. Probably could have done a breakaway here. I was in lap 2, and again wheel 2. My position was, hey, I'm not trying to do any extra work, and so when Fabian goes off the front here, I just let him go. I was not going to run that down unless somebody made me. Also, I had Josh on my back wheel, and I figured if Josh wasn't concerned or wasn't going to go after it, then I certainly was not going to either. And so it works out good for me because I'm second wheel, and I got the pace slowed down to about 20 miles an hour now coming up the hill there at turn 4, and I'm just going to roll off without having to do much of a pull. I'm just going to roll off to the back and take a little breather. So far in the race, I've managed to just keep my heart rate pretty manageable and not expend too much energy, and certainly not spend a lot of time on the front, which was exactly what I had said that I was going to do. So first half of the race basically in the books, and everything is going as planned. Lap 10, you see this gap that forms, and we have to do this big effort, 26 miles an hour to be able to close it down. Again, that's every time I got on the back. I kept having that yo-yo, and of course you still see Fabian off the front up there, so there is a move, and you're not really sure what's happening 4 or 5 bikes up, but those gaps just kind of started to add up and started to really do some damage. Here you see immediately everything slows back down, the back running 19-20 miles an hour again, so but kind of the damage is done at that point. This you can see we're up to like 32 miles an hour here. The race, especially the second half of the race, is extremely fast, and so I was really kind of beating myself up over just fitness wise. I was like, I don't know what happened or why I felt like I was so worn down in the end, but when I never really had a chance to look at the speed and the power numbers, obviously, while I was riding, because the race was just going so fast. But the second half of the race is just extremely fast, and so while I don't think I was probably in the best form on Tuesday. These guys are they're just stronger than ever. And one thing that I've noticed that's happened is the field every race gets a little smaller, and the guys get a little stronger. And so maybe in week 1 we had 12 guys, and the next week you're down to 10, and those 10 are the 10 best, and that cycle just kind of repeats itself each and every week. And so as we've gone on, the field's definitely gotten smaller, but man, these guys are just getting better and better. They're getting stronger and stronger, and so I left the race a little discouraged, but at the same time I also left with some resolve that I was going to have to figure out how to not just have a good strategy, but also how to take fitness to the next level. And so I think that's where I've been for this week. It's just trying to get ready for that. I think there's 1 month between this race and the next one, and so it's a good period of time to really push myself fitness wise and try to do everything I can to make sure that when the next time when we get to these really high speeds that I'm able to be in a position to be on the front. And at the end of the day, that's kind of the goal. So here again, you got us going down the back. The fortunate thing here is if you notice, my heart rate's back down to 158, 159, and so even though we did have the stretch where we were going extremely fast, at least at this point, I've had a chance to recover. And so one thing that I've been trying to do in my interval training is to make sure that I set up my intervals so that I really push myself, and then have these periods of recovery that are not very long before I turn around and do another max effort. So it looks like that approach is paying off. Alright, so here we are I think we're about lap 13. The race is going to have 20 laps total, so there's about 7 laps to go at this point, behind Jason and Josh on my back wheel. And so this is feeling a little bit like just a good old group ride around the parking lot. There's not a lot of excitement, hasn't been a lot of excitement for a few laps. Everything's nice and steady, and heart rate's comfortable level. Power numbers are not bad, and you can see we're slowing down here around that turn 4 down to 16 miles an hour, and Jason rolls off. So that's probably the last time that things are going to be comfortable for me anyway. So here you go to lap 14. I'm on the front. If you remember, one goal I'm having to have for this race is I'm not wanting to be on the front. I don't want to not do anything, but at the same time I realize that if I'm on the front for a long period of time, I'm not gonna be very effective. So I think I end up doing like a half a lap here. Once I get the half a lap down, I'll just roll off, and then Josh gets on the front. And so when Josh gets on the front, it's mass chaos breaks loose. You can see right here, we're up to 28, and going into turn 4, I'm going to kind of just ease back to the back as we start. This will be lap number 15. You can see, the pace is 27, 28 miles an hour, and cranking 500 watts to just to keep up. So still got Josh on the front. There's a good view of how everything's going. I'm behind Fabian, coming into turn 2, still running 30 miles an hour, and the back stretch, everybody just stands up, and you can see Josh going off the front. There goes Fabian, grabbing him, and all of a sudden it's really starting to feel like things are going to get shaken up a little bit, and again, I have a little bit of trouble off the back trying to keep this gap closed. And it's the field is very strung out, and the elastic has stretched to the max. And honestly, at this point, I'm thinking, am I going to be able to hold on? Is it going to be like this to the end of the race, or is it going to slow back down? So you go in turn 2. You can see this huge gap that's formed now in front of the guy that's in front of me, and he's going to try to close it down, which means I got to close it down with him, and I'm just too far off his wheel to get any benefit of draft. And I think that's kind of the story of the day, or where I went wrong was, even though I'm in the back, these gaps, I'm just in the wind too much, and especially when you're when we're going this fast, and I think yeah, at this point you see the guy that I had just passed. I think this is where he gets dropped, and the field again. We've been many laps now, pushing the 30-mile-an-hour mark, and very painful, to say the least. But fortunately, the pace does slow down enough for me to get back on the wheel. And again, here you see she's still got these little gaps opening up. I don't have a lot of gas left in the tank, so I'm just trying to, whatever shelter I can get here, try to get some relief, because I know, whatever move is going to happen at the end of the race is about to happen. So the race was, strategy-wise, it was pretty straightforward. It was the end of the race was summarized by just going really fast, and whoever could hang on and be in position got on the podium. And so congrats to those guys. So here you can see that very fortunate not to be dropped at this point. It's really everything I've got just to be in this position, and just off the back. So I believe this is the final lap. This is either lap 19 or 20. Yeah, so 31-mile-an-hour pace. Still done this for quite a long time. Yeah, this is lap 19. So this will set up for the end of the race, and we go into turn 4 here. It does slow down there, which then there's this acceleration that you're going to see, and really everybody. Great. It's great that I'm here, because I really was on the verge of getting dropped. Like, I didn't have, very fortunate, I didn't have a lot left. So the fact that I made it back up here to the pack and didn't get dropped. Now here, when we go into turn 2, again, turn 2 is the downhill segment, and I'm still back in the very back, which is probably a little further back than I needed to be, because what you can see here is, you see Fabian take off up there, Josh takes off. I just really don't have a chance when you're that far back on the last lap. It's 32 miles an hour on this back stretch, and they're still leaving me just because I got this gap, and then kind of realize here that it's just not gonna happen this time. So congrats to Josh. Josh was first. I think Fabian was second, and I'm not sure who got third, but great job to everybody. Like I said, every time we race, I'm just blown away at how much better everybody gets, and so it's definitely been good for me to push myself and to give myself a challenge and something to work toward. Going back and seeing these guys again. So subscribe to my channel. We'll go back to Charleston Low Country Crit in 1 month, and then we're gonna try this again. So thanks for watching the video. Talk to you guys later.